But of course, another Paul Heyman guy, maybe I should phrase it differently, but another person who is in the stable of Paul Heyman is Seth Rollins, Seth Franklin Rollins, and he was a part of the Big Angle on Raw.
Well, and a Paul Heyman girl too, because if Becky is in the stable of Heyman, then she's one of his horses also. But she's a filly. She's one of the fillies. But they weren't in Philly. If they were, Heyman would have showed up in a goddamn neck brace or an oxygen mask or something. Anyway, we mentioned it before. They reported that AJ Lee's return on SmackDown got 178 million social views. People, peeking in the curtains, couldn't get enough. And they also had done earlier, they did a package on her with some highlights, which she was there before and whatever, winning the belt. Because it's been 10 years, they recognize, I think as I said before, that not everybody out there knows that so-and-so had a grueling match with such and such in Mexico City in 2014. So just to make sure, and then when AJ comes out to the big response and the welcome back chants, she did the same thing. She introduced herself to the new fans, but in a charming way, self-deprecating way or whatever. Not like I'm this and I'm that, but you may not know because it's been 10 years. They wanted to see her there. They were ready to see her, and they were, I will say, I believe that it could have been a little shorter. I think it's also her first promo in 10 years, so not bad for that on national TV. But the basic story was that she retired 10 years ago. She wasn't sure, or she was sure that she wouldn't be back in the ring. And she did other things. And she said she went on a mental health journey and went to therapy and got the fans to chant therapy. So again, they're listening to these people. They're not just sitting through it like they do on some of the other programs, waiting for a zinger that they can ooh at. They're picking up on this shit as it goes. And anyway, in a roundabout way, and I do like her facial reactions to things, and especially when Becky comes out here in a minute, because this is the first time I'm hearing her talk also. But she finally got to the point was she was doing good until she watched Raw, and then she was not doing good, seeing her husband in the ring with Becky Lynch. And as soon as she starts talking about Becky, here comes Becky's music. And here comes Becky. And this has got nothing to do with your skank-ass husband. And Becky, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention AJ Lee, when she comes out, she stole the belt. She's wearing Becky's Intercontinental belt, right? That's the women's Intercontinental title, right?
Correct.
I wasn't sure what they had named it, but I'm shifting. My hip hurts. Nevertheless, Becky's pissed. You're wearing my belt. I'm the greatest of all time. And the people chant, you suck, you suck. And Becky starts having that meltdown again where she's screaming at people and she's losing her temper, and they start chanting therapy. Again, it's perfect. Becky takes off her glasses. She's got a black eye from what AJ did to her the other night. And anyway, she's screaming, give me my belt back. And AJ's like, oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot that I've been skipping around my house with this for the past few days and just being a smart ass. And she said, tell you what, come and get it, Becky. Here it is. Come and get it. And Becky doesn't come in and get it. Now the people start chanting chicken. It's like they've paid these people to be extras in the goddamn deal. They're on cue. They're perfect. And then Becky says, where's your husband? And they chant, CM Punk, CM Punk. And Becky cuts the promos and brings her husband out. They play Seth's music. Seth comes down the aisle to Becky and says, it's I'll take care of this. And he tells AJ, it's easy. Just give Becky her belt back and we can all leave. And AJ said, well, we could do that. Or Becky could take it and get another black eye. Or I'll give it back to you if you'll agree to a tag team match, playa. And Becky's like, no, we're not going to, no. And says, I'll take care of this. And he goes in the ring and he's going to get the belt. And he starts to pick the belt up and AJ steps over it. And she jumps sideways and she blocks it. And she jumps the other way and she blocks it. And Seth starts getting stern with her, and suddenly here comes Punk out with no music, whatever, from behind Seth, picks him up for the go to sleep. Seth slips it and bails out. And now Seth is pissed. If you want a match, you got it. And Becky's like, no. And AJ tosses the belt at Becky, and now we got the match for WrestlePalooza. This is fucking great. Again, it's wrestling. The guy and his wife are going to fight the guy and his wife. I want to see that shit. Nobody has to be hospitalized to do an angle here. It's made. The people are working with them.
You know, you brought up World Class earlier in the show, and the big difference is obviously that Precious and Sunshine were valets. They weren't wrestlers. What should the match be, going with the idea that this match won't be the end of the feud?
Well, and again, I mentioned earlier, they shouldn't wrestle, because if they all work, if this is a family fucking fight, and if they all work a fight, and I'm suggesting that Seth and Punk have more of a fight. And by a fight, I'm not talking about a garbage match with furniture all over the building. I'm talking about a rough, believable conflict, and do enough to milk the girls getting a hold of each other, because Becky's not going to want to fucking get a hold of AJ. It's almost like a old-fashioned manager match where the heel manager might get a shot in against the babyface girl, before the babyface girl finally gets her hands on him, on her to get the heat right. But Becky and AJ don't need to be doing hurricane ranas off the top rope and dives out of the ring unless it's a flying Fez press off the apron to tackle the Becky when she's trying to get away or whatever, that type of thing. They need to have, and for lack of a better word, a good old cat fight. Is what people are going to fucking see. They don't want to see them wrestle. That defeats the purpose. They're supposed to be mad at each other, and it's a wife against a wife, not a girl wrestler against a girl wrestler. And I don't know if I would be mad if they brought this back, if the heels went over the first time in such a way that it necessitated some type of not ridiculous stipulation to bring it back again. Or to do some kind of offshoot where Seth and Punk have the match, but whoever wins, their wife gets the other wife for 5 minutes at a disadvantageous position, or whatever. Keep the personal issue going.
And what do you say to And what do you say to the fan that says Jim Cornette's being unfair? He hated it when Kenny Omega teamed with a woman, or whatever intergender stuff they did on AEW. What's the difference?
Those people, number one, weren't over. Number two, the fans weren't demanding it before they actually did it. Number three, the performers involved didn't nearly have the verbal talent or the booking philosophy that this has had so far and that they have behind it. Need I go on? It's just mindless. Oh, this girl does wonderful cross bodies like I do. Maybe we can do a cross body together in the match, rather than, no, it's my wife who's also a fucking ex-wrestler and can come in and have a mixed tag with this other famous main event level married fucking couple. Jesus Christ, it's not that hard to fucking figure out. It's just doing silly wrestling moves versus getting people involved in a goddamn issue between main event level stars that they can believe down deep, or at least put aside their knowledge to the contrary, are mad at each other, want to pull each other's hair out. Cat fight.
Weird thought, but in some ways, this is so much this period of time, not just this angle, but this is so much more the way this is set up, like the way it would have been done in a territory versus wrestling in terms of the turnaround. They're doing angles now that set up pay-per-views like within a week or two out. It used to be months out. You kind of knew 2 months before a pay-per-view what a lot of the matches were going to be because it was going to be building towards it. Now there's so many that it's like you're building to something that's going to be on next week.
Yeah, and the thing there is because there's not only the monthly pay-per-view, but there's the Saturday night's main events, and there's the multiple night pay-per-views, 2 of them now, and etc. So you can build talent always, just individual talent, and you can start teasing issues amongst talent that are over, but you can't really specifically promote a match or a goddamn specific stipulation or whatever more than a couple weeks out now, because like you said, people will forget about it. It'll get confused with the other shit. So there is a bonus to that, at least if you have it planned out in advance. Hey, if nobody gets hurt and nothing goes wrong, here's what we want to do. Then when you announce it, at least when you're doing something like this, it has some level of immediacy where people are like, oh shit, if they like something and it's going to happen next week, they ain't got time to get sour on it or forget about it or just get used to it. So there's that. That's why, the old weekly territories that could pivot around and bring stuff back if it got over, they had that immediacy working for them.